What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings, as Spurs drew 2-2 with Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last night. And let's get straight into it with Fraser Forster up first. Sim gives him an 8, I gave him a 7. And he did perform really well. I thought he was keeping us in the game at times, to be honest, in that first half. Second half as well, he did that make that save after crashing off the bar from Wan-Bissaka with the diving header. So I thought he was actually really good. And I felt like if Hugo was in goal, we might have lost that game or definitely come under more pressure. But Fraser Forster stood up for the team yesterday, so I commend him for a good performance.
Yeah, especially in the first half. He kept the score down, essentially, allowed us to stay in the game for the second half. Didn't have too much to do for the second half, apart from a Bruno shot, half cross, which he had to punch away. But first half, he made a number of crucial saves from Rashford and from Bruno, which kept us in the game. And I don't think he could have done too much with either goal as well. No. So I think... yeah, fair play to him. I think it was a good display, and again, filling in well for Hugo.
Yeah, which moves us on to Eric Dyer. 4s all round from us, and another poor display from Eric Dyer. Again, more defensive lapses for goals that we conceded. I thought he was under pressure as well, where we got a bit fortuitous, where we didn't concede on a number of occasions, and he just frustrated me yesterday. I thought he was our poorest player on the pitch.
Yeah, especially for the second goal. That's why I mark him down a lot, because he had a big head start on Rashford, couldn't keep up with him, and then showed him down the line for all the space, where that's where all the space was for Rashford to run into, and it was really poor defending. Made the goal a lot easier for him. And I did think he improved a lot in the second half, because we were pushing up and Man United weren't able to have that out ball, and that was a lot of that was down to Dyer's improvement. But I thought the first half he was all at sea. It was a big part of why we were 2-0 down, and I don't think he his passing or anything like that was up to scratch for a lot of the game as well. So poor display from Dyer.
Moving on to Clement Longley, sixes all round from us for Longley. I thought he defended quite well throughout, to be honest. I didn't have too many problems with that. He did make himself a nuisance a bit on the other end as well. I think he had a header that crashed against the crossbar at one stage in that second half. But no, I was fairly happy with Longley, but it was nothing too great, nothing poor.
Yeah, he got absolutely skinned for Bruno's shot that hit the bar, which he got very, very lucky with, diving in. But... yeah, I don't have too many complaints. He did kind of support the attack a bit. I think he was fairly solid. And I think most of the Man United's joy came down the other side of the pitch. But as well, he did get a bit lucky that and as well, I think he lost Rashford for the chance, which Bruno with a nice floated ball in, and Rashford arrived at the back post, and Longley completely lost him as well. So a couple of moments that could have cost us. Luckily they didn't. But I think overall he was okay.
Next up, Cuti Romero. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I felt he could have got closer to Jadon Sancho for the first goal that went in the opening 7 minutes. But after that, I felt like he improved in the game. He was doing those lovely dinks into the midfield and into the attack that was really setting us off, especially in that second half. In the early stages of the game, he wasn't really being that aggressive Cuti Romero, but I thought as the game wore on, he took more and more responsibility in that back line, and he was probably the best, well, definitely the best player out of the back three, that's for sure. And he stood up for the team yesterday, but it took him a while to get into the game.
I thought he had a great game overall. Probably could have done a bit better with the first goal, but I think overall, I think he was dominant. He was winning all his one-on-one duels pretty much. He was being aggressive, fun-footed, involved in the equaliser when he's wearing his aerial duels. He won 4 out of 4 aerial duels throughout the 90 minutes as well, so never lost a headed duel.
And one of them was really important, wasn't it? The one against Rashford that set us up on our second goal.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I thought, all in all, much improved from Romero. And I mean, he's also another player coming under for a lot of criticism for some recent displays, and rightly so. But it just goes to show, in like displays yesterday, when he is on top of his game, he's just head and shoulders above any centre-back that we have. And I don't like it when sometimes other fans lump him in terms of like players who aren't good enough and stuff like that, because I think he's clearly so much better than any defenders that we have. And once we get a right system and a manager, I'm so sure he's going to fly.
Yeah, and as well as good defenders to help him out, Barron the back as well. I completely agree with that. Moving on to Ivan Perisic, 8s all round, and me personally, I've been one to criticise Perisic for a lot of this season, to be honest, but yesterday was a really good performance. I felt like he was really high up the pitch for the majority of the game, and he was impacting things going forward a lot. A lot of the things that we were doing, a lot of it came through him. Crossing the box for Dyer, where he should have done a lot better. A cross in the box for Porro's goal as well, which obviously wasn't aimed for him, but it was his cross that caused all the problems in the box. And time again, he was just an outlet on that left-hand side, providing quality into that box. So I thought Perisic played really well yesterday.
Yeah, and Wan-Bissaka had a really tough time against him. And Wan-Bissaka is one of those defenders who you associate with really good one-on-one defending. And Perisic, time and time again, was able to get crosses in the box and get the better of him. And that was quite surprising on that occasion, because Wan-Bissaka's come up against a lot better wingers in recent times and come out on top. So it was impressive. And I thought he was causing trouble all day long. Even in the first half, he had that chance just before Rashford doubled United's lead, which he should have scored. He was a threat from a header as well in the first half, which and the near post, which Forster could say about De Gea. And then second half, he was a complete nuisance, pretty much like a winger, and his crossing was causing Man United no end of problems. Should have ended the game with did he end with an assist? No, he didn't, but he should have at least one assist, at least, for sure. So really good display, much better from Perisic.
Yeah. Next up, Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. Again, a bit slow to react for that first goal. I thought him and Romero definitely should have got closer to Jadon Sancho. But I thought going forward, he did impact things, not as much as Perisic, nowhere near as much as Perisic, but I thought he was positive down that right-hand side, trying to make stuff happen. Obviously, it was his goal early on in that second half that set us on that way to that comeback, and what a finish it was. Oh my days. Outside of the boot, top corner. I would like to see a bit more from him going forward, to be fair, but I was fairly competent and happy with his display. But, you know, those defensive frailties are always there.
Yeah, and I thought, to be honest, in the first half, they were getting a lot of joy down his side. It wasn't just the goal. They opened us up again with Sancho, but it was a deflected off Porro, cleared off the line by Perisic, something they mentioned before, great clearance by Perisic. But Porro, again, could have conceded a goal down that side. Rashford had a chance as well with a left foot shot near that side. So he was struggling defensively in that first half, no doubt about it. But he did kind of improve with the team in the second half, was able to get more on the front foot, was actually our designated set-piece taker on the day, and I thought some of his set-pieces were fairly good. By and large, he gets good whip on them, especially to the near post, and it was causing United some trouble. But obviously the goal, what a finish, man. It's so underrated, that goal, how hard that was to get that in from that position. Such a small target to aim at, outside of the foot, on the half volley as well. Really difficult technique, but he made it look easy, and it was a brilliant finish.
Yeah, let's move on to Ollie Skip. 6s all round from us for Skippy. And yeah, it was an okay display, a lot of energy, but I felt like he should have been stronger in the tackle, which led to one of Manchester United's goal. But I don't think there was too much quality in there from Skippy, but it was a nice, dogged, hard-working display as we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, that's what I marked him down for mostly. Wasn't necessarily the challenge, which was poor, but it was just, I think his quality on the ball wasn't the same level as his teammates. And I thought he was lacking to really dominate the midfield in the centre of the park up against the likes of Bruno, Casemiro. I thought Bruno was getting all sorts of joy in that first half, and he failed to track him effectively. And I felt like during the game he was all right. He's never gonna let you down when it comes to effort, and that was a big help in that second half in sustaining the pressure. But I thought his quality on the ball was pretty average. It wasn't terrible, but it was nothing particularly impressive as well. So something he has to improve on.
Yeah, and his midfield partner in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, 7s all round from us. I thought, I think it was a much better display from Pierre than it has been in recent weeks. But I did think he was lacking a bit in the first half. Didn't see much of him, and there was poor challenges, lazy challenges a bit. But he dramatically improved in that second half, and it felt like he was taking a lot more responsibility, driving us forward, really nice balls forward. There was this one moment, though, this moment of madness where he just made 2 of the most terrible touches I've ever seen a footballer make on a football pitch. But that's not going to mark him down from this performance, because I thought he definitely stepped it up for the team in that second half, and I like the authority that he was taking. But it makes me think, like, what the hell is Højbjerg one of these players that has been trying to throw these Italian managers and things under the bus? Because he has been absolutely shocking ever since Conte made those comments.
Yeah, this is definitely a much improved display, and I think the difference between Skip and Højbjerg in this game was just the quality on the ball. I think there was a lot more from Højbjerg than I saw from Skip in terms of vision, his execution. He was constantly getting Perisic in on that side, down the left-hand side. He was also having attempts on goal, trying to force the issue, trying to force our way back in the game. He did get booked early on, which maybe hamstrung him a bit, but I thought overall, I thought it was a good quality display from him. I thought he competed well, and I think his quality on the ball was pretty good as well. So I was pretty happy with Højbjerg overall.
Next up is Richarlison. We give him a 6 all round. I mean, look, it was just a classic Richarlison display, wasn't it? A lot of energy, a lot of hustle and bustle, trying to tire out the opponents. And he was getting in nice spaces as well. Harry Kane was trying to feed him through. But again, a bit of a lack of quality on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something dissimilar to what we've seen from Richarlison throughout the season. I did think he was causing United quite a bit of trouble, actually, in the first half on down that left-hand side. But the frustrating thing is, more often than not, he was caught offside quite a lot, and that broke down a lot of the moves. But I did think he was actually probably in the first half our biggest threat down that left-hand side in terms of the front line. Didn't last too long in the second half. I think taken off for the more creative Kulusevski, and I think that was probably the right move. But he did obviously try. He was getting in United's faces, making it difficult for them. But in terms of the quality on the ball, still lacking that.
Moving on to Heung-min Son, 8s from Sim, 7 from me. And I thought he was a danger throughout, to be fair. Always an outlet. First half, actually, I thought he took a while to get into the game like most of the Spurs players did. But second half, he was definitely a massive threat for us. Obviously, Kane played him in for his first chance, which he fluffed his lines, should have done a lot better. But he didn't make any mistake of that second goal, second chance. And he gobbled that up for fun and took us on our way to a point.
Yeah, and I was actually really impressed with Sonny. I thought on the ball, he was dribbling was on a different level this game. I thought a number of times he was able to take people on, get past players and retain the ball and not give up the ball so easily like he has done maybe for a lot of the season. I thought he was a big threat on the counter-attack without really having too many efforts on goal in the first half. But second half, had that chance that he missed, but he made no mistake with the second one. Probably could have maybe had a few more opportunities to take shots on goal, which he didn't take. But I thought creatively he was strong, and I thought on the ball a lot better. Linked up well with Perisic as well, actually, I felt in this game compared to maybe previously. So I was pretty happy with Son.
Next up, Harry Kane. Sim gives him a 9, I gave him an 8, and I thought it was an unbelievable display from Harry Kane yesterday. He was just hovering around that middle of the park for the most part of the game. He was threading in balls like it was nobody's problem. He was our chief creator on the day. Everything was going through him. Laid on a plate for Sonny twice. Like I mentioned before, he slotted only one of them home where he should have slotted both of them home. But I thought Kane was our best player on the pitch yesterday, and by some way.
Yeah, and I thought he was so creative. I was really, really happy with his second half display when he just took on that responsibility to bring Tottenham back into the game, and it felt like there was even parts late in the game when the Spurs team seemed to have settled for a draw, but he was still running and pressing and looking for the win. It was like he was the only one who believed that we could still get the victory, and I thought in that second half he was a proper conductor throughout the team, really orchestrating the play, creating opportunities. I think he created 3 big chances throughout, even one in the first half for Perisic. I think he's 5 key passes as well during the game. So I thought it was a really strong display on the creative side. Goal scoring wise, the closest he got to scoring was probably in the lead up to Porro's goal, where he had a shot blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box. But
great block by Shaw, that.
Yeah, it was a very good block. I don't believe he had too many other real efforts on goal.
He wasn't in those areas, though, was he? He was just so deep and just orchestrating everything.
Yeah, and
he was like a conductor. He was literally like a conductor yesterday.
And that's all he needed. When he's on that kind of form creatively, I'm happy for him to do that.
Yeah. Moving on to the subs, the only sub we're going to rate is Dejan Kulusevski, who came on for Richarlison. I think it was 10 minutes or something into the second half. 7s all round from us. And I think he just added the on-the-ball quality that Richarlison just wasn't giving us on the day in that first half. I thought he looked dangerous. He was looking to create, looking to get in behind, was getting good balls in the box. But I think the quality was still a tiny bit lacking. But it was definitely a step up from what Richarlison was giving us.
Yeah, I think he gave us a bit more on-the-ball quality, a bit more ball retention. I felt like he was linking really well on that right-hand side with the players near him. He wasn't losing the ball so easily, and he did put some really good crosses into the box, which, if it wasn't for some good defending, could have ended up with some goal contributions for Kulusevski. So good cameo from him. Nothing spectacular, but fairly solid.
Yeah. And last but not least, Ryan Mason in his first game, in his second stint in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. And, you know, at the beginning stages or at halftime of that game, everyone would have been thinking like, oh, here we go again. 2-0 down at halftime. We don't look like scoring. Well, we had a couple of chances, but Man United were just peppering us a little bit, and our defensive frailties were on show for everyone to see. But he managed to galvanise those players at half-time and really put on a really big performance in that second half, the best performance we've seen in a while. I like the way he was tinkering with the tactics in-game as well, something that we haven't been seeing much this season. And I like that he made early changes and really did changes to impact the game. I think where I'm going to mark him down is not really going for that win in the last 10 minutes when we go 2-2. He brings on Tanganga and just to see out the game, and we're happy to accept the point. But I think that you got to give him credit. For me personally, I enjoyed my first Spurs game for a while, and he was very much to do with that. So I think Mason gave us reasons to enjoy the game yesterday.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good reaction to what happened on, decent reaction, I should say, to what happened on Sunday. Sunday, I think it will take a lot of man management to get the players to put in a performance like they did in that second half, especially 2-0 down when you would imagine confidence was very low. But he was able to get that reaction in the second half. I think he put us in positions where we could have scored even more goals as well in terms of how the team was set up. And I think it was. I think he got the team running, got the team being aggressive, and I think that's an impressive thing to get that draw when we're 2-0 down. You got to give him credit. I agree. I think his tactical switches were decent as well. I think by and large it was an impressive first game for Ryan Mason, albeit we were 2-0 down at half time and we were playing badly, but he turned it around, and in the end of the day it turned into a good game.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. That is our player ratings for the 2-2 draw yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Manchester United. Let me know your player ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.